Yes, y'all. What it do? What it do? It's your man, 50 grand, Kevin Barnes, the mouthpiece of the movement, the militant with a microphone, aka the Negro Whisperer, the man in black. Mama, there go that man again. It is another episode of Outlaw Nation on a Thursday night. What we do now. I do apologize because the intention was to have Outlaw Radio last night and have Armando Duckworth on. And for some reason, I had some serious technical issues, and I don't know what it was. Trying to work it out to see what it was. I think it. I don't think it's on my end. It may have been on his end, but I'm definitely going to get him rescheduled. Shout out to that brother Armando Duckworth. He is doing big things in the community, in particular in my old neighborhood, on 17th the Capitol. So yeah, shout out to Armando. And if you're listening, Armando, you can still call in. We can still converse that way. I wanted the people to get to see your face, but anybody and everybody can call in, chime in, let me know what's good. That is the purpose of Outlaw Nation. That's why I do it. The number is 262-202-5131. Look, I kept saying for a long time I wanted a show where the people of Milwaukee could talk their shit, right? Because we know Milwaukee is a city of world-class shit talkers. So if you got something you'd like to say, any topic you want to discuss, nothing is taboo. Nothing is against the rules, or I should say. So of course, I'm going to discuss some things, some topics, and you can tell me how you feel about them. You can chime in and let me know what you think via the chat room, or you can call in. Like I said, it's 262-202-5131. It's Outlaw Nation. Welcome. I'm looking for sponsors for Outlaw Radio and the People's Network. I got some good deals for you in terms of sponsoring your event or whatever business that you have, as long as it's positive and progressive, as long as it's popping, we can get it going in the community. We got a Cash App. We got to support each other, man. This is the reason why I am attempting to build my own media network, because I get tired of the one that we have, which is, in my opinion, somewhat chitlin circuit, I should say, somewhat compromised. And that's not to hate on anybody, but I just think we need to do better. I think black people deserve the best, so that's why we do what we do. So you can catch me on Mondays with my co-hosts Kamar Carter and Courtney Francois on Outlaw Radio. Tuesday, I am on the Big Black Sports Show with my partner Tank. Wednesday, it's Outlaw Radio again, and then on Thursdays, it's myself with Outlaw Nation and whoever else wants to come. Evelyn Amare, I'm trying to say Evelyn said, do you want venue with food too? I don't quite understand the question. Might clear that up for me. Evelyn, I think I'm saying it right. If I butcher your name, please forgive me. I am but a man, right? So it's Outlaw Nation, man. What's going on? What's got your bloomers in a bunch out there? This is the show that I do where people can talk about it. Um, and for me, like I'm always bothered by the violence in our city. We if you look at the statistics, I hate to even really just do statistics all the time, but even according to the statistics, the murder rate is triple. At this point, it's triple what it was last year. I believe we're at like 113 homicides. I got it in these notes somewhere. I'm gonna pull it up. I just think, no, it's up 113%. I'm sorry, it's not 113 yet. It's up 113%. Um, and it's an ongoing problem in Milwaukee, and none of us really seem to have any solutions for it. Well, none that have worked. I mean, we've tried a bunch of different things. There are a bunch of different places and organizations that are supposed to be responsible for preventing the violence. I don't know that any of them have come up with an effective strategy yet, but it's something that's continuously, it bothers me, because the city is just not a safe place. you know um Crime is something that occurs in every large urban area, but what we have here is when it starts affecting innocent people, when it becomes random. This is when I really start to be concerned about it. And I've always been concerned about it, and so have a lot of other black people. So I ain't even here on the bullshit narrative of, oh, well, you don't care unless it's a police officer. That's not true. Anytime any black life is lost in the community, we've always had an issue with it. Evelyn Amari says, yes, we just had folks shooting off 91st and Brown Deer. Yeah. There's, you know what? And that's another thing in Milwaukee. There used to be a such thing as a safe areas. There's no safe areas in this city now. You can get it anywhere you go, right? Like, so it's not a very, very cool feeling to know anywhere you go in this city, somebody can come in at any given time, the gun violence can go down. But so we got to get together to figure out some solutions for that. My personal thing, if you listen to most of the conversations we have here on Outlaw Radio, I always talk about the poverty and how we have to address the poverty here in the city, because poor people make decisions based on different circumstances, right? Like, so I always say there has to be some kind of anti-poverty initiative that we're gonna have to, implement. Like, the story about Milwaukee at one point, I believe in the 70s, having the highest standard of living for black people in the country. I actually remember those days. I remember those times. I remember when black neighborhoods, the neighborhood I grew up in, the Rufus King area neighborhood off Capitol Drive, a beautiful neighborhood full of black homeowners, um, low crime, just well kept, everything. Just a beautiful place to grow up. But the coincidence with that is that there were a lot of jobs at that time available to black men in Milwaukee. So you can come up, get your family, raise your people, do what you need to do, and make enough money to have benefits and be able to raise a household, not no minimum wage, what I call teenage kid wages, high school kid wages, and you're supposed to raise a family off of it. So I think you got to attack the poverty. That's just a little advice to Mr. Mayor to be, I would say. Brother, it's all about this violence. Like, I get some of the other stuff you have to address, but the poverty, you gotta attack the poverty. Like, you absolutely positively have to come up with some way to bring some real money to the city. And I ain't talking about outside the city. I'm not talking about, oh, you got to go drive 3 hours away to get the money. Nah, like, why? It's a coincidence in Wisconsin that I see. Why is it that the money, the blacker the area, the further away the money is, right? Like, so if it's a bunch of people of color in a certain area, you don't see a whole lot of money even being invested in that area. You have to go further out. That's something we got to change too. She said, I grew up. Let me see if I can actually I think we can put this up. She said, not that one. Wait, not that one. She said, and if I'm saying this wrong, y'all let me know. Eveline Amore said, I grew up off 23rd Street between Capitol and Vienna, 53206 zip code. Yeah, and that's a beautiful area of the city. I grew up in 53209. Like I said, the Rufus King area neighborhood was just, to me, still the most beautiful black neighborhood that this city has seen. It was the shit growing up over there. But yeah, I just don't put the jobs, don't put everything so far out. Like, you got to go ride 5-6 hours. You should be able to, just like when I was young and I was talking about this time when black people here were actually prosperous, the jobs were within, I mean, hell, you can get on the bus, you can walk to work, you know. I just feel like, they geographically, a lot of this stuff is set up for us to fail as well. So attack poverty, man. You got to attack poverty. You got to get at the poverty. You got to stop having so many poor people scrambling for the same little crumbs, living in close proximity of each other. That shit's set up by design. That's what the redlining and all of that is about. So yeah, got to check that out, man. It's the conversations we need to have with the people who ask for your opinion. And those people are your elected officials and your supposed leaders. Those are the people who are supposed to be concerned about your opinions. And I know a lot of people say, I call downtown, I call my alderman, I call all, and they don't answer. right? Or I talked to them and they didn't do anything. Those are the kinds of things you got to remember when it's time to vote, because that's when they matter the most. When you want my vote now, and I can say to you, hey, bro, I've been calling your office for a year and a half. Now you want to answer? It's all about holding them accountable. Um, that's that's the conversation that grown folks is having in the Outlaw Nation on how we gonna get this city fixed as residents. How are we going to get Milwaukee fixed? Anybody got any questions? I mean, answers or suggestions or even possible solutions? Hit the line 262-202-5131. It's your boy Kevin Barnes, man, in here on a cold Thursday night. I'm so salty because this week didn't go like I planned it at all, man. I had planned on having Robert Miranda in here. He had a technical hurdle. And for Robert, it's funny because it wasn't even like the equipment didn't work. Robert just didn't know how to work his phone. So we didn't get to have Robert in, and then I missed my boy Armando last night. Man, but that's okay, man. That's okay. It's when you're doing this, the kind of things you encounter with electronic devices. So, but y'all stay tuned and support the show because I still have a lot of very interesting people lined up to come on the show, right? Like, so I feel like the People's Network should be Milwaukee's black platform, the go-to black platform when we talk about information exchange, right? I don't even want to say podcasting no more. I want to say information exchange now. You know how black people are. You don't try to make up shit. It's a podcast. I get that. But I just feel like it's an opportunity for us to have our own media, which and it can start being more accurate in telling our story as opposed to some of the shenanigans you see going on in our mainstream media now. Um yeah, so listen, when these candidates that because we're about to have this special election for our mayor, when these candidates come to talk to you, make sure you question them about poverty and anti-poverty initiatives. You feel me? Like when we start talking, when they ask what are you concerned about? Well, I'm concerned about the fact that this city is not real safe right now. Like not safe for me to, do shit. Like driving down the street, is a serious issue. Um, and you should tell them you're concerned about the lack of cohesion between them with the police department and the health department and all these entities that exist that are supposed to help us. You should be a little concerned that none of them work particularly well together, which is when you talk about running a city, that's something that I'm concerned about. So, talk to them about the lack of cohesion. Shout out to John Fletcher. He said we got to learn how the game goes. We battle against laws and procedures that the average person doesn't know, but keeps the government running. Ha ha. Very good point, John Fletcher. A lot of people don't know the law. They don't know what rules and regulations are in place. A lot of people don't. And that's like one of those things that's fun about being black too, because in our community, you gonna meet you meet black people who know everything. I don't care what you say. He or she is a doctor or a lawyer. There ain't no certification in that shit needed. They can tell you all about that. But that is funny though. That is funny. But we don't we march by some rules and we don't even know all the rules. We live by a set of laws. We don't even know them all. And sometimes we don't even know who makes them, right? So I feel like there's a lot of awareness to be had amongst black people, not just in Milwaukee, everywhere. I feel like everywhere. He said they need to have a one-on-one conversation with these young boys and young girls. You see what the problems are because it's a lot less love in the homes to make them act out. Yeah, that whole not enough love in the community is a real narrative, right? Like a lot of people say that. He says it's a red line on purpose to keep the crime in one area. Yeah, of course. Yeah, we know redlining and all kinds of um racist kind of segregationist policies that are put in place to keep people of color in certain areas, or maybe people in certain income tax brackets in certain areas. You put them all in one place. Yeah, it's easier to control them. But now, so the solution to this now becomes gentrification, right? Which I want to talk about tonight since it's Outlaw Nation. I feel like we can have an open conversation about it. If you'd like to chime in, please hit the chat room or give us a call, 262-202-5131. Gentrification. I'd like to know, like we talk about it. We're telling our people about gentrification and how it's coming. But is that what's necessary to really fix our areas, our neighborhoods? Is that what it takes to fix them? If not, somebody tell me what it takes. But compared to what we've tried to do, is gentrification all you really have left? Is to say, well, fucks, let's just redevelop the area, and the people that can stay, can afford to stay, can stay, and the people that can't have to go. And we're going to put a premium now on this area, so this is worth more to own, and then we'll go in there and buy it up, so that way you basically replace the people that were there. So is that the only way to fix the ghetto? Because it seems like we've been trying a lot of different things and they're not working. I'm asking. I'm not saying that that's the way to do it, but it's like, okay, now should that tell us we'll get your money up so you won't have to move around? Start focusing on getting you some paper, so when they come through with the gentrification stuff, you say, nah, I can afford that. It's cool. Keep it going. Or what they say, the mark of success was not leaving the hood, but buying the hood. Was that what it's about? It's Outlaw Nation, man. I don't know. I feel like I could basically survive anywhere I wanted to live, no matter, even if the area was being gentrified or whatever. But that's me as an individual. And I know some people wouldn't be able to do that. But I mean, if you look at Milwaukee, especially the way that they've let some parts of the north side just kind of dwindle. I think that's a good word for it, dwindle. Like the industrial, like the corridor. Like it's so many areas, all of this vacant industrial abandoned property that sits in Milwaukee, like right in the core, running right through our city. That all of that should just be developed. It should all be developed. Like there's no reason for in 2022 for these areas to be just sitting like this. And so the only thing you can look at is if that community wasn't full of people of color, they wouldn't allow that to happen. So, we got to start demanding some things be done about areas like that have been around. And I see now there's some development going on right in the central city. I just hope that it's people of color that can take advantage of some of it, because if not, then we'll get replaced and ran out the community anyways. John says the bottom line is we want to change. There's a lot of people just giving up and go with the flow, and they don't know any other way of life, just what they that is a thing I have to ask, is that the mindset of Black people? When we look at each other and we look at how things, you see what's going on social media wise, you see what's going on in the media, see what's going on in the news. Is it to the point where Black people is like, fuck it, we give up? Like, it's that, I would hope not, but sometimes in certain areas when I see like kind of like the norms, if you would call them that people have adapted to in those areas, I say it look like these people just have given up. Like they've just said, you know what, fuck it, it is what it is. There's nothing I can do to change it. It's another question that we pose here on Outlaw Nation. Is that where mostly everybody's head is at. That's why I always bug out when somebody be like, the world finna come to an end. I'm like, hold on. I ain't quite got all I need to get yet. I need for you to chill out with the end in the world thing. Let's keep it going for a couple more years. I'm trying to grab something here. So I don't know. Those are questions that have black people given up. Because I hear black people say some way out things nowadays. Like we have some real way out, like even spiritually, like, black people used to be a really prayed up group of people. Like we prided ourselves on, you pray and God and Jesus and now you talk to some black people about religion, you end up walking away going, okay, like got more than I bargained for with that one. And that's always, a hot button topic in the community, because it's always a lot of people who want to look at our status in this country and kind of compare it with religion or spirituality or something like that. So I don't know. It's a big time controversy in our country. But so it's Outlaw Nation, man. Y'all let me know what y'all want to talk about. It's Thursday night, man. Normally I'm very serious on Outlaw Radio. We try to keep everything on the one, but we're a little bit more relaxed tonight. We'll have a little bit of fun if you want to. John Fletcher said, ask how many people have traveled and been out of Wisconsin to see how the people live. The people who try to break it down have, but the ones who have not will not understand, and they can do this too. Yeah, well, there's a lot more people now who do travel outside Milwaukee. As a matter of fact, I know so many people who have relocated from Milwaukee, family members, just and people say, well, in other places, in other states, it's much better. And I'm sure it is, right? But what is the perfect place? I don't think it's a perfect place, but I would say people out there listening, what's the ideal place right now in America where you can move? I've heard a lot about like Memphis, Tennessee. I know a lot of brothers and sisters have moved to Arizona, Texas, and we know Georgia. So where else right now is it popping in America where you can go as a black person and say, okay, let me get the money, let me make sure everything is okay? I don't think it's nowhere. Right? Like where and people say, well, we ain't looking for nothing perfect. So if you out there, let me know where it's popping right now for black people. And somebody can even call in and say, hey, well, you can go back to, where is it? Ghana, where you can go and go back to the motherland. Is that an option for us? Is that something we should be doing? Packing up saying, hey, we're going to go back to Africa. I don't know. It's all questions that we need to ask. We need some answers from somewhere, because obviously we have some issues in this country. And I'm talking about us. I'm not just, y'all or those people, because one black man's problem is every black man's problem, it seemed like. But economically, socially, these are the areas that we get left behind and left out on, and these are the ones that affect us the most. So those are the conversations that we need to be having. When I say, man, the homicide rate is triple what it has been in the last few years right now. It's up 113%. It's just March. Right? But we have all these things in place up here. We have all these mechanisms that's supposed to deal with the violence. And I'm not blaming like one organization, because honestly, it's going to take more than just one group of people. You can't put that on everybody. But man, it's just such a serious conversation that the leaders here need to be talking about right now, is what to do about the violence. It's crazy, man. It's ridiculous. Now, also, y'all notice we've gone into kind of like a little thing where we have all these, I don't know, forgiven crimes, right? Um, and these are law enforcement officers who've been involved in some of the most egregious cases when it's a person of color that loses their life. Uh, so we got the Brett Hankinson cop who was in Breonna Taylor involved. He's the one who just basically let loose everywhere. He gets off. Kim Potter, who murdered Dante Wright. Now we see this officer or ex-officer Curtis Reeves, who was in the theater, who shot another man about some cell phone call. Like, so if people wonder why football players kneel and people protest and people are upset and people are critical about what's going on, why don't they just be happy and just bounce the ball and be quiet and be good little Negroes? Because this kind of thing still happens. That's why, you know, that's why people are upset in this country, because stuff like this happens. And then, if the shoe was on the other foot and this was a person of color, these guys were people, officers that were black, they would have been convicted. So we already know that, you know. Crazy. Did the girl, the crazy girl, I'm saying crazy girl. I don't know if that's even something you could say now, but I don't, there's no other way to say Taylor Shabusiness or something like that. She's a 24-year-old lady from Green Bay. And she had, I guess, heavy drug usage, and she went crazy during sex with a man and dismembered him, cut his head off, cut his private parts off, and put him in a bucket and had it like at his house. Right, he's 24 years old. Right, John Fletcher said, "Madness from madness." You're right, man. You are right, man. You are right. This is crazy. She's 24 years old. She cut this dude up, cut his head off. Be careful in the Green Bay area. Be careful in the Milwaukee area, because I just talked about last week on Outlaw Radio that the syphilis cases were the highest they've been in Milwaukee in 20 years. So if you're out there playing that game, be careful. The syphilis is here and it's hot, right? People say syphilis, damn, right? Highest has been in Milwaukee in 20 years. Hey, I guess the good news is they did hire or graduate, or they're going to try to make room for 195 new police officers. I guess that's good news, depending on where you're sitting at, right? Do we need more police officers? Is that what we need? Like, really? Because so the police, that's to say the police we have now are stressed. Like, there's so much crime and it's spread out so far and wide that they don't have the personnel to address it. I don't know. I'd like to see that. Maybe that's the case. So if they can hire 200 more police officers, they'd be able to then, I guess, be at least there to prevent more crime. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I just feel like everybody gets the blame for crime except for the police in our community, because yeah, we know, because they always say, well, you all have to do something. You got to step up and help us combat crime, which I do believe is necessary. But and they say, well, we got to have a new social program to combat crime and violence. And say, I agree with that too. But it'd be like, but what about the police? Right? So, and some people say that's what y'all get for saying defund the police. Is that what it is? So the police said we quit because y'all said defund us. They never defunded them anyways. That's what I'm saying. They've just given clearance to hire 200 new officers. So shout out to Chantel Gwynn. She said we need more structured programs for the youth Um, more structured programs. I agree with that. I think you can always use more structured programs. How can we get the youngsters in there though? Because we got a lot of youngsters who really got to be brought in off the turf. So we have to be able to draw them in. And so somehow, somewhere, we got to be able to communicate with them. Um, she said they've taken so much from the children. Yeah, I mean, there's been some cuts, but how are our young people motivated? Like how we get those 20 some those young brothers from like 20 to 25. Those are the ones we really got to get off the streets. So we got to figure out a way to get them in. Even if we have a good program, we got to get those brothers to come in and say, okay, enough. Because those are the ones who fallen bad. Like we losing those young brothers are, and it's all of us. Don't get me wrong. There ain't no age limit on it. It ain't no age limit on it. So, but we really have to get in touch with that generation. John Fletcher said we got to talk to them in their language. That's true. So, what is their language? He said we got to talk to them in their language, and not what we think they should hear. I agree with that, but the advantage, the thing that you earn from getting older is you do have the right to say, nah, this is what you need to listen to, because you do have a little bit of more awareness for things than these youngsters do. So, but yeah, what's their language? And do you have to really dumb yourself down to be able to talk to them? Because if you do that, then it's no reason to talk to them. If you got to really dumb the whole thing down and be like, hey, like ABC type shit, should be able to speak to them and speak to them clearly without trying to gloss them or without trying to spin them. I think that's the biggest thing. They don't want you to try to spin them and they don't want to hear. I don't want to hear that old school shit. Sometimes you need to hear some old school shit though. That's the thing. Or is there another way? Y'all tell me. I'm always open to suggestions, right? Because, like I said, we can hypothesize all we want about like what we should do, and what's obvious to me is that what we have been doing ain't working. It's kind of sad. That's what I was thinking about with this election. I've seen a lot of grassroots, boots on the ground, organizations come in our city for like the last 10, 12 years and really get out there and put in some work. It says a lot that now our two candidates are Bob Donovan and Chevy Johnson. Like, I feel like, man, all of that activism, and this is, these are our choices. I would have thought by now some other individual would have kind of risen. Maybe we dropped the ball in the primaries. I don't know. We had a low voter turnout rate. So it's a special election, right? Whoever gets elected, we only got to have them for 2 more years. How much could they mess up in two years? That's a good question. Chantel Gwen says, show them some love and understanding. So young. Oh, she's still talking about the young folks. Oh, yes. Gotta love young people, man. And sometimes when they don't have a whole lot of options, they do what young people do. They make mistakes. That's what young people do. That's what I did when I was young. Right? That's what I still do as an old man. What we looking at? Oh. Now they are trying to look at some initiative to create a 4-day school week for the kids. This is something that they floating through the school board. right now. 4 days, and then I guess a fifth day that's designated for activities and even mental health days. This is what the proposal says. It's in the People's News Network if you want to check it out. But 4 days, I don't know. 4 days a week class, one day they can kind of freelance on what they want to do. Is that the answer for our kids? I don't know. I don't know. And they was and this is by Sister Aisha Carr. And she's saying, well, sports, whatever, academic support, whatever. I mean, we want people who want to think outside the box, right? If it has some real structure to it, in which the kids could actually utilize that day to get some constructive done, then yeah, I would say that's a good idea. Um, and those 4 days of instruction got to kind of be real structure too, because you got one less day. Which most schools, what do they really do on Fridays, anyways? Right? What do you really do on Friday? That's the day. You don't get no homework on Friday. So yeah, that might be a good idea. Might be a good idea. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Um, John Fletcher said with the right influence, this could work. I don't know. What we always saying, think outside the box, and that's outside the box for real. So that might be a good idea. Um, what else we got? Oh man, for some of y'all who owe like me, y'all see Mr. J's lost their license. So I guess their whole, I don't know if they're gonna go through an appeals process. But once again, it's sad when a black business has to close because of craziness. But nobody here has, it's another situation where we haven't come up with a way to have a nice place where we can go and enjoy our music and have a little alcohol without something happening. Something always happens. Doesn't matter where it's at. And it ain't always the place's fault, right? Because the crime is going on in the community, even if whether that place is there or not. But it just so happens if this is a club or a bar or some kind of whatever would have you, they end up with this kind of stuff happening. So it's sad that, and the brother who I believe that was the brother Arliss, and I didn't know him personally, just heard of him. I believe that had been, he'd had places up here for a long time. That brother is gone on. Rest in peace to him. But yeah, 45 years, and they're gonna close down. Looks like they might be still having some liquor liquidations, so you might be able to get down there and get you some free drinks. What do you do, man? If you what they call them, grown and sexy, or do that just really mean you too old, stay your ass at home? They say I'm grown and sexy. That means stay at home. You too old to be out, right? No, it's sad, man. It's sad, and that's the norm in our communities all over the country. All of the venues we have that where we just have people can go and kick it. Something always happens. It's just and shout out to anybody who's if they have a place or a business that they going to right now and it's popping off and you keeping it safe. God bless you and your venue, and holler at us. We'll promote it. Because it's always good when black people can get together and have a good time. That's what we all about. So, it's sad that we lost that we lost another place, man. Look here, man. I hope y'all rock with the People's News Network, man. I want to thank y'all for tuning in to Outlaw Nation. And like I say, man, every Thursday we can close the week out. After we go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we get the Big Black Sports Show. We get all of that. Man, we have a good time, man. So comment on the show, holler at me, hit me up. If you got some topics you want to do sometimes on Outlaw Nation. Hit me up and let me know, man. Other than that, y'all be safe, be cool, be warm, be smart. I will see y'all Monday night.